Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You're now with me, Muhammad Yusuf, for TVS English News at 5. And here are our top stories for today. A total of 14 Sibu Jaya Tamu Market traders were duped by fake 20 ringgit notes circulated by a female shopper in her 40s, accompanied by a child. The Commercial Crime Investigation Division (CCID) received several reports from the traders that the woman had purchased various necessities with the counterfeit notes, which all bore the same serial number. Sibu Police Chief ACP Zulkifli Suhaili said all the victims traded with the same suspect but did not realize they had been cheated until around 3 hours later, when one of the victims realized the 20 ringgit notes were of poor quality and the ink had begun to run. Commenting further, he added that the notes were sent to Bank Negara Malaysia to determine their authenticity. Meanwhile, investigation papers have been opened under Section 489B of the Penal Code. At the same time, Zulkifli urged the public to be vigilant and to examine the banknotes while conducting business transactions to avoid becoming victims of fraud. For more information or advice, the public may call the National Scam Response Center on 997 or the CCID Scam Response Center. Meanwhile, bank accounts or telephone numbers hid can be verified at ccid.rmp.gov.my/semamule. There are currently 340 projects categorized as sick projects and around 36 which are critically delayed projects in Sarawak. Deputy Premier Dato' Amar Douglas UGGAH said the COVID-19 pandemic, which began in March 2020, had to a large extent contributed to the situation.
UGGAH said this when visiting the Sibu Division Public Works Department JKR office on Tuesday, January 31st. He expressed his disappointments that projects meant for the people's benefit still suffered from delayed completion or at worst becoming critically delayed. UGGAH, who is also Infrastructure and Ports Development Minister, however, assured the people that the pandemic situation has improved. He further stressed that all contractors assigned to any projects to deliver as scheduled and in the required quality. As such, he calls upon the said department to monitor the contractor performance very closely and raise the red flag when any construction work was delayed by 60 days. He added the department was expected to handle more projects now that the state has been granted the autonomy to approve any development projects worth 50 million ringgit or less without needing approval from the federal government.
Now, the latest report by Khazanah Research Institute KRI on the paddy and rice industry in Sarawak and Sabah stated there is potential in commercializing and growing the specialty rice segment in Malaysia. Despite yielding only around 142,000 metric tons or less than 9% of the total rice produced in Malaysia, heirloom rice or specialty rice is currently valued at 3.1 billion ringgit, which is equivalent to that of the modern plain rice variety, which values at 3.3 billion ringgit.
The report, The Paddy and Rice Industry of Sabah and Sarawak, Status and Potential, launched on Tuesday, outlines the need to preserve the seeds of over-specialty rice varieties to prevent the genetic loss of their unique characteristics. Its chairman Tan Sri Noor Muhammad Yaakob said, while the paddy and rice industry have been heavily focused in Peninsular Malaysia, Sabah and Sarawak should not be overlooked.
It is important to note that Sabah and Sarawak also hold a wealth of diverse paddy and rice varieties that should not be overlooked.
While lead author and KRI's Deputy Director of Research, Dr. Sarena Che Omar, said that Sarawak and Sabah can leverage onto the specialty rice varieties by venturing into the premium rice segment. which will not only contribute to the self-sufficiency level of rice in Malaysia, but can also improve the income and the livelihood of paddy farmers.
To mention that we recognize and acknowledge that it is important to protect and save the rice supply. But we're also saying that if you want competition, commercialization, and export, these are two different yet important objectives, meaning you need two different policies and regulations.
Thus, she said the current policy requires tweaking, as currently the rice and paddy industry is governed by a single regulation.
In an effort to overcome the problem of teacher shortages in the state, the Sarawak Teachers Union STU hopes that the placement of new teachers will be distributed equally in both rural and urban schools. Its president Kulin Jayang said with this latest development, it will to some extent reduce the burden on teachers and students in continuing the teaching and learning sessions at school.
Sudah semestinya STU berterima kasih kepada Yang Berhormat Menteri dan Kementerian Pendidikan Malaysia kerana telah membekalkan 1,500 guru baru menjelang Mac ini. Namun begitu, STU sentiasa menggesa KPM untuk penuhkan sepenuhnya 3,000 kekosongan sehingga hujung tahun ini. Selain itu, STU masih lagi menekankan bahawa anak jati Sarawak harus diutamakan untuk bertugas di negeri ini.
At the same time, the Sarawak Bumiputra Teachers Union KGBS President Zulkifli Sebli seconded the idea. Meanwhile, commenting on the recent announcement by the Ministry of Education MOE on the 1,500 vacancies of the estimated 3,000 shortage of teachers in Sarawak, he pointed out that schools in the city should be given emphasis as the lack of teachers in the city is more due to the retirement of teachers, while some have passed away. Furthermore, he said the MOE should give more attention to schools that are experiencing a critical shortage of teachers so that the new placements for the next school session are more transparent. At the same time, he expressed gratitude to the said ministry for making a serious effort in addressing and solving the long-standing problem of teacher shortages statewide. He said this when contacted by TVS today, January 31st.
On Monday, Malaysia and Singapore signed agreements covering areas that include digital economy and green economy cooperation, as well as personal data protection and cyber security. The framework of cooperation in digital economy encompasses areas such as trade facilitation, cross-border data flows, and electronic payments, while the green economy cooperation will look into the development of new and renewable energy-related technology. According to co-founder and general partner of Scale Up Malaysia, the meeting serves as an opportunity for Malaysia to grow in business and to continue attracting foreign investment.
I think there's a huge opportunity here for us to build some good bilateral relations. And I think for Malaysia to continue attracting FDI, it's actually really simple because we've actually been doing a lot of this over the last couple of years. Now that we've got some political stability, there's a perception that we've got a government with a plan that will last a couple of years. I think there's a lot of opportunity here for us to kind of grow and build together.
He added, for Malaysia to grow in the areas of business, it needs to improve on a few areas, such as in policymaking and the ease of doing business.
With our regional neighbours. So number one, I think, is we need to improve the ease of doing business, right? We are currently ranked as one of the top countries to do business in the region, and I think that will only improve with time. Another thing that will really help with doing business in Malaysia is encouraging clarity within the government, such as transparent policies, clear stakeholders of who you deal with, how to take advantage of different policies. These things will go a very, very long way.
Similarly, he said that Malaysia should also poise itself to become an attractive global talent destination.
What's really important is really to have the ability to attract talent, right? I think one of the most important things for every business in Malaysia is being able to say you can bring in the best people from anywhere in the world and they can work in Malaysia. And I think if we are able to allow foreign companies to attract talent to Malaysia, build business here, is a huge asset to us as a nation.
Welcome back. Now, an opportunity to develop a localized vaccine ecosystem can be realized through a shared expertise between Malaysia and Singapore. Following the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding (MOU) between Malaysia and Singapore that would further explore the medical field, particularly in their medical equipment and clinical trials by both nations, said a medical officer for the National COVID-19 Immunization of Baut District, Dr. Gerald Sim.
So actually, and many people, they are actually they are still skeptical and still thinking about whether is this vaccine safe, how safe. 10 years ago, we had to take so many clinical trials, but how did we expedite this COVID vaccine? We've seen side effects. Is it really just from the vaccine, or are there any other factors? So just by signing this collaboration on this memorandum of understanding and agreement, we will advance in terms of research, whereby we will be able to understand more regarding production of vaccines, its mechanism, and also whether any potential side effects. And because it is important for us to create, by doing the research, we have more evidence-based medicine, so we can answer the public confidently on the vaccine itself. In this aspect, is actually one of the biggest advantage that can be seen, because we know that to proceed with the research, there needs to be fundings. Not only fundings, there are many things that we have to look at as well.
The public skepticism on the vaccine is also rooted in the vaccine's young age, as the virus was only discovered just over 3 years ago. Therefore, the research, he added, should have a focus on exchanging medical expertise regarding the vaccine's efficacy, side effects, and side effects profiling, among others.
See the world closer with TVS as we bring you the latest news updates, both locally and internationally. Just a click away by heading on to our website at www.tvstv.my or by following us on our social media platforms. And that's all the time we have for TVS News at 5. Once again, I'm Muhammad Yusuf. Thank you so much for watching and take care.